In what ways do your media products use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Conventions of short films are often hard to determine because they're not really marketed towards a specific group, so a target audience is never really distinguished. Therefore, a convention of a short film is based more upon the genre of the film, and with this did give me more freedom when creating my short film. The typical conventions of a short film would be the same as a feature-length film, apart from the length of the film, which on a short film is usually around 5 minutes. But besides that, it is pretty much the same, apart from a short film is not marketed usually the same, so we wouldn't typically see a film poster for a short film. There was conventions I followed based on my genre, which was social realism, and this made it easier to make my film, as I then had a guideline of things which the audience expected to see. So after I had chosen to make my film a social realism film, I then narrowed it down to topics I could do, and then from this I chose alcoholism, and then I made sure I incorporated different things like relationship problems, employment, stuff like that. Specific conventions that I followed were the inclusion of a relationship and also a difficulty with alcohol, a problem which exists in the real world and affects a proportion of people, which then helps a target audience to be distinguished and people can sort of connect with the character more. And then after looking at a number of examples of social realism short films, I discovered that the use of voiceover was often used, and this helped to make the character seem alone, which was perfect with the theme of my film. A social realism film that I took particular interest in when researching films was Tyrannosaur, as it dealt with similar topics to my film, alcoholism, relationship problems, and it was set in a very British location, which was good because then mine had very similar themes, and therefore mine stuck to the conventions of social realism. During the research stages, I found out that a lot of social realism films incorporate enigma codes, so I made it a priority of mine to include one in my film, and we can see that at the end scene where we see the wife visiting a grave and then the man coming across, but at this point we don't know if he's cured from his condition or not, so, and we don't know if he's found employment or whatever. After looking at several film posters from my genre, I quickly discovered that they all had quite a lot in common. They all had quite similar images which were very basic. They had similar fonts. The positioning of everything was pretty much the same, and they all had either they stuck to one colour or very dark colours with a white font over the top. And I guess the reason for this would be that it is representing the film, and the conventions of social realism is generally quite gloomy themes. Therefore, I used an image which wasn't too overcomplicated, and I used similar colours by using a shadow on the image to make it represent the genre more and have similar conventions to other posters I'd looked at, as well as the positioning of actors' names, the title, the billing block, and the colour of all of these, which were contrasting colours to the background of my poster. I based my film review on Empire magazine film reviews. I did this by having 4 columns, a piece on the side which was a brief overview of the film, having the title on the left-hand side with underneath a tagline. The positioning of the images was the same, as well as a short humorous caption on the image. And the main thing was the colour scheme and of the design of the review, which matched those that Empire had. And at the bottom, a small summary with stars of the review of the film.